everybody, and happy Mental Health Monday. First things first, please excuse my little ponytail. I haven't been able to get to the hairdresser yet, even though they are starting to open back up in Hamilton, which is exciting. So yeah, please excuse my little pony. So today, for Mental Health Monday, I wanted to talk about something that's, I think, really scary for a lot of cancer patients, and it has to do with something that I don't think gets talked or even thought a lot about until you actually have cancer yourself, until you're actually through treatment. And that's that the fear and anxiety and all of that, it doesn't really go away. You don't really go back to normal after treatment, as I'm sure many of you know. That cancer is kind of always with you in the back of your mind. The chance that it might come back is very real and very scary. And I think something that makes that more pronounced, or maybe causes a flare-up of those emotions, is when somebody else that we know has a recurrence. And that can be super, super scary. I find it's particularly triggering for me when the person had the same type of breast cancer that I did, and was perhaps did similar things treatment-wise, because then it makes me, scared that, well, if, they did this and it came back and I did this, and what if it comes back? So I wanted to talk a little bit about what I do when I am sort of triggered, when those negative emotions, that fear and that anxiety is triggered by somebody else having a recurrence. Because of course you're upset for this person that you know, and it just kind of compounds all the things that you're feeling. So for me, I think it helps me to remind myself that one of a few things. First, that everybody gets cancer for different reasons. So only 5 to 10% of cancers are genetic. The rest are because of lifestyle factors. So these could include hormone imbalances, which was huge for me. It could be poor diet. It could be toxic exposure. We're exposed to a crazy amount of toxins in our environment, in our body care products, in our makeup, chemicals and that kind of stuff. Pesticides, heavy metals. It could be that you have an overburden of parasites, bad bacteria, candida. Your gut health could be way off. You could be experiencing way too much stress and not dealing with it well. You may be sleeping poorly. There are just, there might be mental or emotional traumas in your past that you need to deal with. There's just so many reasons. So even if two people have the same type of cancer, even if they did the same things to treat it, why it has come back for them might be for reasons that are not a factor for you at all. So I like to remind myself of that I am a different person who had a different cancer, even if it's the same type, you know what I mean? And that, sort of, that is their situation and this is mine. So because it can be really easy to get caught up in sort of the fear and anxiety that swirls around, anybody getting a diagnosis or a recurrence. So it helps to kind of helps me step back out of that sort of cyclone by reminding myself of that I'm, a different person, different case. And then the other thing that has a huge impact for me is I like to list for myself all of the things that that I have done and that I am currently doing to help heal cancer and now to prevent a recurrence. So that includes, looking at all the supplements that I'm taking and reminding myself of the action that they're having inside my body and what they're actually doing to support me. I remind myself of, all the good things that I'm eating, the great food I'm putting into my body. I remind myself of all the bad things all the things that affect my health negatively that I'm avoiding, like sugar and dairy and high levels of processed carbs, that kind of stuff. I think about the things I'm doing for my mental health and my emotional health, the things that I've done to heal traumas from my past that hadn't been addressed, forgiveness I've given, forgiveness I have asked for. I remind myself of all the alternative therapies that I have done and am doing. So that includes mistletoe and vitamin C IVs. Currently, in the past, that includes ozone therapy and artesunate IVs and B12 injections and glutathione and Herceptin and tamoxifen and surgery and chemo and hyperthermia and I'm sure I'm forgetting some other things that I'm currently doing, like coffee enemas and colonics for my gut health. All the testing that I've done, all the testing that I do so that I know what's going on in my body, my heavy metals, my hormone levels, my circulating tumor cells. So you may not be doing as many things as I am, because I'm kind of, that's my personality, is to do as many things as I can. That's what helps my mental and my emotional health. But for some people has the opposite effect. It stresses them out and it makes them overwhelmed, and that's totally fine. So whatever it is that you are doing, just remind yourself of those things, of all those great things that you're doing to support your health and your healing. So first thing, reminding myself that I am a separate person and that everyone gets cancer, even if it's the same type, for different reasons. And so one person having a recurrence does not mean that I will. 2, I remind myself of all the really great things that I am doing and that I have done to support my healing. And then 3, I bring in all of my, mental health, emotional health tools. So my meditation and exercise and EFT tapping and talking. I talk to you guys. I talk to my friends. I talk to my family. I talk to Jesse. Helping people through their struggles as well, that makes me feel amazing, and I know helps to support my health too. So wherever I can, helping people through my experience too. So all of those things really support just my mental and my emotional health in general when I'm having sort of like an acute trigger, of anxiety or fear or whatever. So those are some of the things that I do to help kind of turn the dial down on that fear and anxiety, because I'm sure one of the wonderful things about going through cancer is that you inevitably end up in, hopefully you find them, but hopefully you find yourself in support groups, or doing, like I did my first Ascents trip to Colorado with other young cancer survivors. You do things like that, or you participate in programs like Pink Pearl if you're in the GTA is an amazing, or in the Niagara region is an amazing support organization for young women. But all those things, in all those places, you meet these really wonderful, wonderful people, and they become your good friends because you have this incredible bond over your shared experience. But it also unfortunately means, I remember the moment when I realized that because of the reason why I was meeting all of these wonderful people, it also meant that I had a much higher likelihood of losing these wonderful people because of the way that we were meeting, or at least that there was a high likelihood that some of us would have recurrences. And it has happened in the last 3 years. There have been really wonderful people that I've met through this experience who have passed away, who have had multiple recurrences. And it's very, very scary, not just because it's a friend who you might lose. That's obviously incredibly terrifying, but there's just an extra aspect of it when it's something you've gone through yourself and you're afraid might happen again to you. So as terrifying as these things are, I really hope that the tips that I just talked about, I really hope that they work for you and they help you dial down that anxiety, that fear. And if you are having, any kind of acute emotional reaction, you can always, reach out to us on Facebook. Reach out to someone you trust and love. If you have a therapist, fantastic. Make an appointment with them, because I find really talking about the way that you're feeling and what you're experiencing, as difficult and as uncomfortable as it can be sometimes, it's really one of the best ways to work through those feelings. So that's, I guess, tip number 4. I know I already said it, but tip number 4. Okay, guys, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Monday and a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.